Welcome to Moshiach Mystery series. We're starting a new series this evening about living with miracles in Yemos HaMoshiach. So, by way of introduction, the truth is it's not so simple, first of all, that there will be miracles when Moshiach comes. There's a whole discussion about whether there's going to be miracles when Moshiach comes. In fact, it seems like it's actually a dispute in the Gemora between Shmuel and others. Shmuel says that Ein bein olam hazeh u'meis Moshiach ala shibud malchi es bilvad. The only difference between this world and the days of Moshiach is just the fact that the Jewish people will be independent. We won't be under other rulership. But seemingly there won't be miracles, and Rambam definitely takes that view that there won't be miracles when Moshiach comes. Nevertheless, first of all, many of the other commentaries disagree with Rambam, and that's the conclusion of Kabbalah and Chassidus, that in fact, when Mashiach will come, there will be miracles. And in fact, even the Rambam himself, the Rebbe explained at numerous occasions that the Rambam also must agree that eventually there will come a stage in the Messianic era of Yemos HaMoshiach when there will be miracles. So it seems that bottom line, all of the different all the different places that we find in Chazal, we find in the rabbinic literature that there will be miracles, it needs to be taken literally, to at least to a certain extent, or at least at a certain stage. Now, there's another discussion why is it so important for there to be miracles when Mashiach will come. That's a whole other discussion. But just in a very basic sense, the very fact that when Mashiach will come, there will be a godly revelation, and God is beyond nature. So that will cause that in the times of Mashiach there will be many miracles. So tonight we're just going to focus on one statement of Chazal, of our sages, about birth in Yemos HaMoshiach. And we'll try to understand the meaning of the statement and also the relevance and significance of this phenomenon when Mashiach will come. What is it? So, we'll start with the Gemora in Shabbos, Daf Lamed Amud Beis, in 30b. The Gemora says the following. It says, Ksiv altan ksil ki ivaltai. There's one verse that says, do not answer a fool according to his foolishness. Uksiv. And there's another verse that says, Ane ksil ki ivaltai. You should answer a fool according to his foolishness. So it seems contradictory. So the Gemara reconciles the contradiction, and it says like kasha. It's not a difficulty. Haba divrei Torah, haba mili da'alma. That there's a distinction between words of Torah and worldly things. When it comes to worldly things, it's not important to answer a fool. But when it comes to divrei Torah, so it is important, even someone who says something foolish, to answer their claim. So the Gemara goes on to explain what's an example of the divrei Torah maihi. What's an example of when it comes to divrei Torah, how you have to respond even to a fool? So it gives the following example. Rabbi Gamliel was sitting and he was expounding the following topic. He said the following statement: Asida isha shatele b'chol yom, that a woman is destined in the future to give birth every single day. Shenemar, as it says, harav v'yoledes yachtav. So this is a famous pasuk, a famous verse in Yirmiyahu, which speaks about the ingathering of the exiles. And it says, Hineni mevi oisa me'aretz tzofain. Hashem says, I'm going to bring them from the land of the north. V'kibatztem yakasei oretz bam iver ufiseach. It says he's going to gather in all the Jews, even those who are lame and blind. And horav v'yeledes yachtav. It says there'll be a pregnant woman and a woman who gave birth together. So the simple meaning of the verse is that it's describing two different women, that in the ingathering of all the exiles, by the kibbutz Geula, so there'll be all different types of people, a woman who is pregnant, a woman who gave birth. But Gamliel understands it differently. The way he explains it to mean is that harav v'yeledes yachtav, that the conception and the birth are happening almost simultaneously, almost at the same time. So we'll see over here different interpretations of exactly what that means. See Rashi, the Arizal, but let's just leave it at that for now. So now, legally, all of Oisei Talmud, there was a certain student who laughed at the statement. How could that be? Amar, he said, Ein kol chodesh tachas hashemesh. The voice says in Koheles, there's nothing new under the sun. How could you say that when Mashiach will come, things will change, and then woman will start giving birth on a daily basis? How could that be? Omar Loi, said Rabbi Gamliel, responded to him, come, I'll show you an example in this world. Nafik, so Rabbi Gamliel went out, and he showed him a rooster. So, let's see Rashi. Let's see how Rashi interprets this. The way Rashi interprets this is as follows: that on the day this woman conceives this child, so the woman will give birth to a different child, like a rooster. In other words, the way Rashi understands it, it's not that a woman will conceive a child and give birth to that very same child on that day. That's not how Rashi understands it. Rashi understands it that it means that a woman will conceive a child, and then it'll be possible, which is, in other words, what's unique about it, it will be possible that a woman will be able to conceive another child while she's pregnant. So a woman will be able to conceive multiple children, like one day after another. So let's say on day one, on Sunday she conceives one child, on Monday she'll be able to conceive another child, and now she'll be pregnant with two children. So now if a woman has relations daily, so it will come out that in the future, however long the gestation process is, however long she's pregnant for, but since she's pregnant with multiple children, so in a couple days she'll when the time of birth comes, when she's due, she'll give birth to multiple children, right? One day after another. And it says the haki mashmakra. This is the implication of the verse. And whenever she conceived, she'll give birth. Which means that the child becomes in other words, the child forms very quickly. So in other words, it seems that there's actually two things happening. That first of all, the process, in other words, the gestation process, the formation of the child in the mother's womb will happen much more quickly, and also it will be possible for a woman to conceive multiple children at the same time, or one after another. It will be possible for a woman to conceive a child while she's already pregnant with a previous child. So that's why Rashi explains it. In other words, Rashi's explanation, his interpretation, doesn't seem to be totally literal, because the Gemora seems to say that a woman will, she'll give birth every single day, which seems to imply from that very same child. Rashi doesn't explain it that way. So why doesn't Rashi explain it that way? Why doesn't Rashi explain it literally that she'll conceive one child and she'll give birth to that child on the same day? So let's look at the Chidushei Agadis Maharsha. The Maharsha explains why Rashi doesn't explain it literally. So Ayin Pirush Rashi. Look at Rashi. So he says Rashi is saying that it's not that she'll conceive and give birth to the same child, one child on one day. Because over here he's showing an example of a rooster, and that you don't find by roosters. The Amrinim Parkama de B'chayris says in the first chapter of Maseches Tractate B'chayris, Tanagelis l'chafalav yom, that a rooster, it's the gestation process is 21 days. Upirush Rashi Sham la'achar shenes abra min hatarnagol, that after the hen, after she conceives, it takes the beitza, takes the egg, it takes it 21 days to form. So it would seem that according to the way Rashi understands is that the similarity to a Tarnagolis is the fact there's two things. It sounds that first of all, the Tarnagolis it's only 21 days. The gestation process is very quick. Second of all is that it can lay an egg one day after another, right? In other words, it can conceive an egg, right? Conceive a child even while it's already pregnant, and then it'll lay eggs one day after another. But not that it's the same child literally on the same day, because that you don't see by Tanach Geula. So therefore, Rabbi Gamliel couldn't show this Talmud, this student, an example in this world. That's the way the Rashi explains it. However, the Arizal in Likutei Hashas, we'll see it later that Tzemach Tzedek quotes it later. He understands it in the literal sense that it means that a woman will conceive that child, and on that day, so the woman will give birth to that child. That's what it means. Now, so it seems that the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, in Igeres HaKodesh, in Simcha Vav, chapter 26 of Igeres HaKodesh, the fourth part of Tanya. So over there, he mentions this concept over there. So over here you just have the line from the Alter Rebbe. So what the Alter Rebbe is talking about over there, we just had it recently in Chitas, that there's a quote over there from the Zohar, from the Rabbi Menachem Mendel, which seems to imply that when Mashiach will come, we won't study halacha anymore. We won't study the halachas of Isur and Heter, that which is permissible and forbidden. And the Alter Rebbe says that can't be what the Zohar means, because there's many examples of how we see in Chazal that even after Mashiach comes, the halacha will still be important. We'll have to know halacha. And one of the examples the Alter Rebbe gives is that if a woman, says over here that a woman will give birth every day. So he said, even if a woman will give, it says, Im teiled isha b'chol yom mibiya achas. A woman will give birth every day, mibiya achas. We'll get into that just a second. So, still she'll have all of the halachas that apply to a woman who gave birth. It says, din isu tumasa la yishtana. It says the halacha of her tumah won't change. So, that's what the Alter Rebbe is talking about. But in the meantime, the Alter Rebbe says that a woman will give birth every day, mibiya achas. So, what is the translation of him, teiled isha b'chol yom? Or the truth is, you could read this in two ways. If a woman will give birth every day, either you could read it miviya achas, that she brings one, like korban, and the Alter Rebbe is referring to the halacha that if a woman gives birth, right, she has to bring a korban. Or another way of reading it is teiled isha b'chol yom mibiya achas, that a woman will give birth every day from one bia. That means from one marital union, so a woman will have multiple births. Okay, so the Rebbe will say over here, the Rebbe will say that the correct way is the second way. So, now, first of all, so in the translation in Shiurim Sefer Tanya, lessons in Tanya, the way they translate Im teiled isha b'chol yom is, I didn't have the whole quote over here from Shiurim Sefer Tanya. The way they translate it is the way the Arizal translates it, which is that a woman on the day that she conceives, on that day she'll give birth. So over here there's a note from the Rebbe, which is very, very fascinating over here. So it says, Dem upteich was wir haben algeteich, teiled isha b'chol yom. This translation over here, that if a woman will give birth every day, as das meint, dass in dem selben Tag, wenn sie wird schwanger werden, wird sie geboren dem Kind, that on the same day that she'll conceive, she'll give birth to the child, is das schreibt the Rebbe Shlita, kepirish Arizal b'Likutei Hashas. This is as the Rebbe writes, the way the Arizal explains it in Likutei Hashas, and it is quoted in Miluyim L'Tehillim L'Hatzamach Tzedek, Kapitel Chav, Seif Dibur Masal Ginsa. So it is quoted by the Tzemach Tzedek in his commentary on Tehillim, we'll get to soon. The Loi Kapirish Rashi B'Shabbos. It's unlike the way Rashi explains it in Shabbos, Lamed Amud Beis, and 30b. Urei Chidushi Agadei Sham. And the Rebbe tells us to look at what the Maharsha said, right? So that we saw that already, which is, as according to that, over here, I won't read the whole thing, is that, again, so Rashi says that it means, right, that a woman will give birth, right, from a previous, every day from a previous conception, right? She would conceive from a child that she conceived previously. And the Arizal says, literally, it means every single day. Okay. So now it's interesting. We'll see in the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek does mention that there is a Medrash Rabbah in Parshas Noach that says that even before the Mabul, also that the way it used to be that on the day that a woman conceived, she gave birth. So in other words, this concept isn't only going to happen when Mashiach comes. That it's something also that even before the Mabul, before the flood, that's something that existed. Okay, so I'm just bringing this out over here that it's interesting that it was the way they translated it, the way Rabbi Weinberg translated it, explained the Tanya was according to the explanation of the Arizal, and it's not clear to me whether the Rebbe is saying that this explanation is implicit in what the Alter Rebbe is saying, or whether the Rebbe is just mentioning that the translation of Shiurim B'Sefer HaTanya is going according to the Arizal. So, but I think we'll see in the next thing, maybe the Rebbe is actually saying that it's actually implicit in what the Alter Rebbe is saying. Okay, so let's move on to the next point, right? Of what's very interesting what the Alter Rebbe says over here. Und das was der Alter Rebbe is da Mosif, as das wird sein wie Bia Achas von ein Bia. Now, this is the Alter Rebbe. He adds that a woman is going to give birth daily from one Bia, from one marital union. Auf dem was andere haben gewollt lernen, dass das meint Mevia Achas, as they bring in carbon. So other people translated it that it means that not mi Bia Achas, from one Bia, rather Mevia Achas, she brings one carbon. But the Rebbe Shlita geschrieben, the Rebbe wrote concerning this, Alter Isi shegam hamaitik la anglit pirush came. The Rebbe says that the earlier translation to English, the first translation in English, they also translated it like that. But the Rebbe asks, what does that have anything to do with our discussion here? Especially the din that a woman brings a carbon now applies now. It has nothing to do with when Mashiach comes. Alter Rebbe's whole point over here is that although a woman will give birth every single day, right? So nevertheless, her tumah won't change. So how is it relevant, the fact that she's going to bring a carbon every single day? That doesn't seem to be relevant to bringing her to her tumah status, right? That's one point. The other point is that the Alter Rebbe is trying to say that that this is something unique that's going to happen when Mashiach comes. The fact that a woman has to bring a carbon is something that applies even before the coming of Mashiach, during the times of the Beis HaMikdash. So, therefore, the Rebbe says, "L'daiti hapirush min al yidei bi'achas." Mi bi'achas means through one marital union. So, a woman will give birth daily. And this also answers the question of the Chidushei Agadais. So, now, what is the Rebbe? Which question is the Rebbe referring to? The question of the Maharsha. So, now, first of all, it's an interesting thing over here that says the Rebbe Shlipa in the second paragraph. The Rebbe Shlipa weist dann für die Gemora in Nida, wie von ein Bia is given a Leida von zwei Kinder. So the Gemora in Nida talks about how from one Bia there was a birth of two children. When zwischen sie gedauert mehrere Tag. In between them, it says a woman, it says conceived. So the Gemara says. It says a woman conceived. It says what happened was the drop, right? The tipa, it broke up into two pieces, so to say, became two different children. And one child, the woman gave birth after 7 months, gave birth prematurely. And the other one, the woman gave birth at the end of 9 months. Very strange, very strange concept. So, wie die Gemora bringt dort a Fall von 3 Chadoshe, was gedauert zwischen die Lady von ein Kind und der zweiten, right? There was 3 months between the birth of one child and the other one. Chach Beida seinen gewinnt von ein Bia, although they both came from the same Bia, from the same marital union. Okay, so that's a very interesting thing. So now, the Rebbe adds that this also answers the question of the Maharsha. Und mit dem, was der Alter Rebbe's Meisef has, das wird sein von ein Bia. Sagt der Rebbe Shlita, wird verkleinert werden, oder verentfert werden, die Tmiya, es kann doch nicht sein, bechol yom. This answers another question. So the way they're explaining it here, I'm not sure if this is the explanation of Rabbi Weinberger, or it's clear that the Rebbe said this is the Maharsha he's referring to. It says that this is answering a different question, a question that we didn't have yet. New question. It says after a woman gives birth once, so there's a number of days when marital relations are forbidden. Is doch memelo nishtakin leiden alle in alle die Tag, was sie seinen 7 oder 14 Mal, as I feel. Right? There is at least 7 days or sometimes 40 days. Wie die Tag was in sei is Bia Mutter, right? Aber as man sagt, as das wird sein von ein Bia, ist doch von der Bia, was gewinnt ins Mann hätte, sein später dort kam Leides in mehrere Tag. So the question is, how could a woman give birth every single day, right? If there's certain days after she gives birth, then now relations are forbidden. But if the births are happening from a previous bia, from a previous marital union, so that means while relations are forbidden, she's still giving birth to children every single day. So that answers the question. Wie das Taka by Tanach Geulah. That's what happens with the rooster, with the hen. Was the Gemora bringt die Dugma von Tanach Geulah. Was chatsch afilu as noch dem was das Abra is nicht mekabel kein Zocher. So although after the rooster becomes pregnant, so then it can no longer have relations. Von deswegen hat sie mehrere Beitzim and mehrere Tag for the Biachas with them Zocher. What happens is that after one union between the male and female chicken, so then the rooster gives birth to many eggs, hatches many eggs on multiple days. So this you see by the rooster. So it seems so. Let us to put everything together over here. What it seems is that the Alter Rebbe over here is adding a very big chidush. He's adding a very novel idea that this concept that a woman will give birth every single day will be from one bia, from one. Now, I'm wondering over here. So where does the Alter Rebbe get this from? In other words, where does he see that in the Gemora? So you could say that two things. First of all, that based on this question of the Maharsha, that how could it be that how could a woman have relations every single day? Seemingly there's 2 months. So it could be that was the Alter Rebbe's source. Also, could be this is also you got it from the Tanach Geulah, right? That's the example of the rooster. So it could be. It could be that was, so to say, what forced the Alter Rebbe, so to say, to conclude that it's happening bia achas, because that was the only way to explain how it can happen every single day. Now, getting back to the original question that I had, which was, is it implicit in the Alter Rebbe that he's following the explanation of the Arizal? So based on this, it would seem that the Alter Rebbe is following specifically the explanation of the Arizal. Because according to Rashi, so it would seem that Rashi has an answer to this question. According to Rashi, you don't have to say that it would seem that according to Rashi, it's not necessary to say, or Rashi's not saying, that she's giving birth on multiple days, right, from the same bia. Rashi is saying, right, on the contrary, that she's having, in other words, she's all Rashi is saying is that she could conceive a child while she's already pregnant. That's what Rashi is saying, but not that there's having multiple births from one bia. So it seems that this concept in Teilisha B'cholim bia achas is also only according to the Arizal. That so in other words, it would seem that it comes out that really we're saying two things. One thing is that on the day that a woman conceives, on that day she gives birth. From that conception, from that thing. And then on further days she keeps on giving birth also from, right. So that's an interesting thing. So it would come out that some children are Some children are in their mother's womb for longer than others. That's what it would seem, right? That's what comes out. So that's an interesting thing, right?
It looked like it would be like a wave of children, then a break and a wave of children.
Right. Now, I did see in Hine Yom and Boim, they said that there's a minor, there's from the Rebbe's handwriting. The Rebbe said, this is what we said, a woman will give birth every day. It doesn't literally mean every single day. They didn't say exactly the source of that. It doesn't literally mean every single day. But it seems like it could be. In other words, it could be that a woman will give birth in other words, every single day. What I'm thinking is that now that's one point. Yeah, I know I'm going through a whole pilpul over here, right?
It's written that and Ben David ba ad shekalu kol haneshomot.
Right.
That's one way to get the neshomot quickly.
That's right.
Moshiach.
Yeah. So there was the reason why Rashi explained the way he did, right? That it's not that a woman is conceives on the same day and she gives birth on the same days. The Moshiach explained because you don't see that by a Tanach Geulah. You don't see that by right? You don't see it by the Tanach Geulah. So seemingly, even according to the Arizal explanation, seemingly we don't have an answer to that question.
Right.
Unless you say that the example of the Tanach Geulah is a partial example. Maybe that's also what the Rebbe is saying. What you see from the Tanach Geulah is the fact that there's multiple births, like from one marital union, so to say. That's what you see from the Tanach from the Tanach Geulah. So, in other words, this that Rabbi Gamliel showed his Talmud. The example of Tanach Geulah, it's only a partial example. It just shows how there could be multiple births daily, so to say, daily from one conception. Okay, so basically it comes out, right, that so according to Rashi, let's just sum this up. So according to Rashi, it would seem Rashi is saying that what's unique about Yemos HaMoshiach is the fact that a woman can conceive and be pregnant at the same time that she conceives another child, and the fact that also it seems that it's happening very quickly. According to the Arizal, the Alter Rebbe, it seems there's the fact that the process is happening very quickly. A woman can conceive and give birth to that child on the same day, and furthermore, it's possible that a woman will have further births from one conception. Okay, so what's the significance of all of this? What is the significance of the fact that it seems that the main point over here is that the fact that the birthing process will be much quicker, right? In many ways, it will happen daily. It'll happen from one conception, right? That it's happening at a much greater pace. What's the significance of this, and what is the spiritual reason behind this? So the Tzemach Tzedek actually in Sefer Halikutim over here they bring down from these Maimorim from the Tzemach Tzedek on Tehillim, and another Maimor of the Tzemach Tzedek, the Maimor Lahavin, Ginsa Le'olba Hahu Ganona, that he explains over here the spiritual idea behind it. So you have over here on the left hand side, it says Amru Razal, Asida Isha Shateli B'chol Yom. A woman is destined to give birth every day. It says now the birthing process, so gestation is 9 months. So why is that? So the Tzemach Tzedek gives an example. It says growth. You plant something. Also, it takes a long time. First, the seed has to rot on the ground. And then what happens is that seed becomes, so to say, a part of the power of growth. And then it takes a while till it grows. Likewise, in order for a child to be created from that drop, it also takes 9 months. In other words, it sounds like the Tzemach Tzedek is saying it's a process. It's a process. In order for a child in order for the child to be born, just like in order for a seed to grow into a tree, it's a whole process till the child's born. It says, "V'chol ze achshav sha'isirusa de la'ela hu al pi asusa de lasata ve'ini ur chodesh lagamri." It says that this is only now that anything that is happening from above, the asusa de la'ela, it's elicited through an asusa de lasata. It's created and it's elicited through our avodah, through our actions. It's not a completely new light, he calls it. It's not something which is, what he means by an or chadash, he means that it's not something which is completely beyond, something that we're not able to elicit and able to reach through our own avodah. Kiyum l'chadash hayishanes. So to say, it's like renewing something that's old. In other words, it's what he means is that the tefua, the produce that's growing, it's growing from the seed that's planted. It's not something that's entirely new. However, when Mashiach will come, there will be a completely new oil, a completely new revelation from the source of everything. That's why it's not necessary that it should be hidden for 9 months in a way of ibur, that it should be hidden. So, it says, nevertheless, there'll still have to be pregnancy for 1 day. The whole 9 months that you have now then will be in 9 hours. If you skip the parentheses, he says, it says, in the day that's completely long, that which now happens in Malchus of Atzilus for 9 months, and Malchus of Arik will happen for 9 hours. He seems to be saying is like this. There's this concept over here. It says, in general, in time, so the concept of time in Chassidus, it says, is that if you go to a higher level, so time is, so to say, is shorter. So something that happens over here in, let's say, it says in 15 years, if you go to the world of Yetzirah, so over there it happens, it's a lot shorter. So whatever it takes, that which it takes 10 or 15 years to happen here in this world, some Chassidik says also in Dach, in Yetzirah will happen in 1 moment. So what's that concept? So just in brief, so what is time? Time is really change. That's what time is. Time is development, change. Things change, that's the concept of time. So, say a person ages, right? So it's the concept of time, right? The sun goes around the earth, right? Every single day, right? So it's a day, right? There's change. There's the orbit of the sun, right? So, now, if you go to a higher level, so the changes that happen in this world that take a long, in other words, it takes, so to say, a lot of, in order for this process to happen in this world, so it takes a long time. There's a lot of change that needs to happen in order for that to happen. That's why things take a long time. But in a higher level, so things take less time. So for the example that this gives, so let's say thought, you can think in your mind, you can think of something. It'll take a lot less to think about it than it takes to say it. Because since thought is higher than speech, it's a higher level, so therefore the letters of thought are more pristine, so to say, and therefore whatever exists in the world of thought takes a lot less time, because it doesn't have to develop. You don't have to say every single word, so to say. Since the words of speech, however, are more tangible, they're more coarse, so therefore, in order to say the words of speech, it takes much longer. Or another example of a teacher to explain something to a student. So a teacher might understand a concept, just he understands the concept and he gets it in 1 moment, he gets it in a minute. order for him to explain that concept to a child, to a student that's not on his level, he'll have to break it down and he'll have to explain every single step of the process, and it will take much longer. So what he's saying is like this, is that now, since the world is on a lower level, and he says that, in other words, and anything that even birth that comes from a revelation from above, from Hashem is obviously gives us the power of birth. So everything takes a longer process, and therefore it takes 9 months. It takes 9 months because in order for the child to develop, it takes 9 months. However, when Mashiach will come, the world will experience a much greater level. It will be an Or Chadash. An Or Chadash means a completely new revelation from the source of everything, from the level of Arich. He says from the source. Nowadays, the world receives from Malchus. In the times of Mashiach, the world will receive from the level of Arich, the level of Keser, which is infinite, which is beyond all limitation. And therefore, the process, he says, will not instead of being 9 months, will be 9 hours. Because in the level of Arich, so over there, the process takes much quicker. Just like in thought, the process is quicker, and just like in the world of Yitzira, things are quicker. And just like in the mashal, the analogy of the teacher, everything is quicker. So, in other words, the significance of the fact that a woman is going to give birth every single day, it shows on the level that the world is going to be at. That this amazing phenomenon of birth, right, of creating a new child. So usually it's a whole process to create a new child from a drop for a child to become an entire child. It's something which is amazing, and it's a whole long process. But when Mashiach will come, the world will be elevated that this process will happen in one day. So over here, that Tzemach Tzedek seems to be explaining this in a spiritual sense. That it's the concept that the neshama is in order for the neshama to come down into this world, so it goes through like a process of 9 months. So the same concept also applies also in the literal sense, and that's what we read in the next paragraph. The same concept. It says, the reason why you need 9 months is because these worlds, Bri, Yitzir, Asira, are yesh, they're an independent entity. They're incomparable to Atzilus. In order for it to come down into the world of Bria, therefore the neshama has to first it has to stay in the world of it has to first spend time in Malchus of Atzilus before it comes down to Bria. It says otherwise, it says the neshama will fall when it comes down here, because in this world is klipa. V'dugmas shviras hakelim. The interesting, this is a different concept. It says that there's a concept of shviras hakelim, the breaking of the vessels. One of the concepts is when the light is too great, so and it's not able to doesn't have where to be contained. So when it actually happens, there's like an opposite effect, which is that instead of there being a revelation of great light, it creates, so to say, a breaking, which basically means that instead of revealing, so instead now there's this complete concealment. Like the example is sometimes if you're trying to explain something, let's say to a student that doesn't understand, so if you're going to reveal him, so to say, a great light, so instead of him, if he's not able to receive the great light, what's going to happen instead is that the student will just be completely confused, and he might even come away with almost completely ideas that are completely antithetical to what his teacher was trying to tell him, because the light was too great. What it created by the Talmud by the student was like a shvira that now is completely broken. So therefore, that's why the teacher, what he has to do is he has to contract, and he has to, so to say, tailor fit the concept to explain it to the child. So a similar thing is also with the neshama. The neshama is godly, right? It's like a great light, and in order that when the neshama comes down to this world, so there shouldn't just be a shvira, there shouldn't be, so to say, a breaking, then the neshama won't be able to reveal itself and actually affect this world. The neshama also has to go through so to say, like a tzimtzum process. And this tzimtzum process, happens in Malchus of Atzilus. Malchus of Atzilus is the source of Bria. And basically what it does is it prepares the neshama, so to say, that the neshama should be able to come into this world and be able to affect this world, that it shouldn't be too powerful, that this won't connect, and therefore the light of the neshama won't be able to be revealed. So that's the purpose of why the neshama has to go, so to say, through this spiritual, so to say, the spiritual process of pregnancy, where it, so to say, limits the neshama and makes the neshama be able to fit into this world. So that's the reason why the neshama has to go through this spiritual ibur, the spiritual gestation process in the Malchus of Atzilus. Malchus of Atzilus is like the mother. Malchus is the nekeva. But aval asid lavai, however, when Mashiach will come, she is dachu ha'olamais, then the worlds will be cleansed, will be elevated. V'yih Hashem nikra kamesha nichtav. It says Hashem's name will be read as the way it's written. Ein sarach ibur kol kach. You won't need this transformation process, so to say, so much. It says v'sheidish b'chinas ibur zeu helam havaya b'shem adlei. This is what we call that the name of Havaya, the name of Hashem that transcends the worlds. This it hides itself in the name Adnai. Because the name Adnai is related to the sphere of Malchus. This is Hashem, the way he contracts and conceals himself, the way he lowers himself down, so to say, to relate to the worlds, to relate to us. And so the name Havaya, which transcends the world, has to hide itself in the Shem Adnai. That's why even when we read Hashem's name Havaya now, we don't read it Havaya. We don't read it Yud Kei Vav Kei. We read it Adnai, because now Havaya is hidden in Adnai. We're not able to receive from Havaya directly. In the world of Bria Tzir Asi, it's impossible for it to receive from Shem Havaya. It's only through the name Adnai. So she's Dakubiyah. So however, when Mashiach will come, and now the world will be elevated and purified. Al derech she Hashem Havaya nikrom is Gala ba'alma de is Galya. It says what's going to happen is that the Shem Havaya, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei that transcends the world, it will be revealed in this world. Shuzau hakri kameshu ba'alma de is Galya. Shuzau haksiv. It was the concept that there was a ksiv in a creed, that there was the way the word is written, and then there's the way the word is read. The ksiv is the way it's written. That's the hidden world. That's the way it is. That we can't, the way it is essentially at the level that we can't experience and receive in this world. When Mashiach will come, the Kri will be like the Ksiv. The Ksiv will be like the Kri. We'll read Havaya. In other words, we'll be able to experience, and we'll be able to, will be a revelation of Havaya, which Havaya is Hashem, the way he transcends the world. So that's why the neshama won't need to go through this process when it's coming in the birth from Atzilus into Biyah. Because then Bri Yitzir Atzir won't be so distant from Atzilus. Won't need such a long change, such a long process. That 9 hours will be enough. This is what the meaning of the Isha. Who's the Isha? Is Malchus Atzilus. So in a spiritual sense, when we say the woman will give birth every day, woman refers to Malchus of Atzilus. Shetele b'chol yom. And Gam b'Mezeritch Rabba Parshas Noach Rish Parsha Lamed Vav Amu Shekaydem Hamabel Yem Echad Haysayishim Uberes V'Yeledes. It also says in the Mezeritch Rabba that before the Mabel, as I mentioned before, the Rabba mentioned that before the flood, a woman would conceive and give birth on the same day. So the similarity to the days of Mashiach is that before the Mabel, so then the level of Keser, the level of Arach Anpin was revealed. It says, that when the hashpa, when the revelation, when Hashem gives us from the level of ayin, which is called keser, which is keser, so then it's a completely different level of hashpa. So it comes out as this concept that the woman gives birth every day comes from the level of arachanpin, the level of keser. So basically what we see from all of this is the significance of this quick childbirth, right? That on the very same day that a woman conceives, and the very same day she'll give birth, this shows on the pristine and elevated state of the world and the coming of Mashiach. That the neshama, so to say, won't need such a long process in order to come down from beyond into Atzilas. So that over here seems to be the significance over here of this miracle that we're living in Mashiach. That when Mashiach will come, so it'll be a whole different level of godly revelation, and so it won't just affect our spiritual life. It'll literally affect the physical world in such a way that it will actually change the very process of how children are born. And so it should be Hashem's merit that we should merit this very soon, and we should experience all of the miracles of Yemos HaMoshiach.